Initial post, T 14 days. Context recap. I'm a 29F on a throwaway because my fiancé, 31M, and most of our friends know my main. Wedding is in exactly 2 weeks, 150 guests. Mid-sized city in the US. We've been together 5 years, engaged for 14 months. I found evidence 2 days ago that he cheated. Most major vendors are booked and deposits paid. My parents and his mother are already making this about reputation and guests' travel. And I'm stuck between wanting to light the whole thing on fire and wanting to hide under a blanket forever. I didn't think the betrayal would arrive as a PDF. Thursday afternoon, I was at my desk, trying to fix a broken spreadsheet, when an email popped up from our joint card provider. Your electronic statement is ready. I opened it to skim the usual, groceries, gas, florist, until a line item punched me in the lungs. June 28th, Harborview Boutique Hotel, $372.64. June 28th was the Friday of his offsite. He'd left that morning in a navy polo, kissed my forehead, and joked about bad conference coffee. I remember because I texted him a picture of our escort cards. Calligraphy, navy ink, and he replied with a thumbs up and, "Looks perfect, babe." The same day he put a hotel room on our joint card. A hotel near the river, not near his off-site venue. I told myself it could be a mistake. Maybe a bar tab routed through a hotel. Maybe his boss booked something and accidentally charged him? Clicked the line. It expanded to show a description. Room plus valet plus in-room dining. My mouth tasted like pennies. Before I could spiral, my maid of honor, Nina, 30F, pinged me. Menu tasting notes. You still want the mushroom risotto or chicken? I stared at the screen and typed back, risotto, because that's what my body knew how to do. Keep moving the wedding forward. That night, I waited until he was in the shower. I typed Harborview into his phone's email search bar and got nothing useful. He's not a chaos gremlin. He knows to bury paper trails. On impulse, I opened his Files app. There, nestled between invoices and groomsmen schedules, was a folder called Receipts. Inside was the PDF, Harborview Boutique Hotel Confirmation J. Miller. 2 guests. King bed. Late checkout. My heart didn't explode. It slowed down and curdled. There was also a photo thumbnail, one of those auto-saved HEIC previews from Messages. I tapped it. A room service tray, 2 wine glasses, a steak, a creme brulee, and a woman's pale blue scarf wisping over the back of a chair. It wasn't mine. He came out of the bathroom toweling his hair, humming. I heard my own voice from far away ask how the offsite was. He said, "Long," and kissed me and went to the bedroom to check scores. I stood there holding the phone, thinking, this was supposed to be the part of our lives we look back on and say, "Remember the joy?" Instead, all I could see were contracts. Because here's the other part of this story, money. When we set a date, we made a spreadsheet named Sunset. Everything has a code, a due date, a column for non-refundable. As of today, here's where we are. A venue, $7,500 deposit, non-refundable, $12,000 balance due at T, 7 days. A catering, 150 guests at $85, $5,000 deposit. Non-refundable, $7,750 due at T, 5 days. Minimum guest count locked at 135. Demand, $1,200 deposit, 50% non-refundable, $1,200 due at T, 3 days. Photographer, $2,000 deposit, non-refundable, $2,800 due on delivery. Planner, live $1,500 retainer paid, $1,000 due after event. Dress/alterations, $1,900 plus $350. Sunk. A hotel block. Guests pay themselves, but we signed an attrition clause if fewer than 20 rooms are used. We're at 26, so okay for now. Rentals/florals, $3,300 deposit, partial credit if canceled greater than 10 days out. We are at 14. I can hear my dad's voice in my head. We don't waste money. I can hear his mother's voice, too, even when she isn't in the room. What would people say if you canceled this close? We've already told the church. I didn't sleep Thursday. Friday morning I called in WFH and wrote a list titled Options in blue ink. Like if I made it a project I could control it. 1. Cancel. Tell the truth or a version of it. Eat the deposits, try to claw back what we can. 2. Postpone. Frame it as illness/family emergency. See if vendors will transfer deposits. 3. Proceed but demand full transparency, therapy, signed post-nup, accountability. This option tasted like ash as soon as I wrote it. 4. Proceed and detonate at the altar. No. This is spite talking. Then I did the thing I always do when I'm overwhelmed. I made tea and phoned Nina. She came over with almond croissants, climbed onto my couch, and I handed her the PDF. For a full minute she said nothing. Then, okay, we are going to triage. Not because what he did is small, but because time is not our friend. She made me call Liv, our planner. Liv didn't say, "I'm sorry," first. She said, "What decision timeline do you need from me?" She has the calm of a surgeon. We walked through contracts, the precise dates we could still salvage partial credits, what would happen to the layout, the band, the bar. She warned me that vendors are human. If I cancel with honesty rather than vanish, I might get mercy. Also, she said gently, if you continue as planned, your face will tell the story anyway. Then came the conversation I couldn't script. Talking to him. I asked him to meet me at the cafe on Alder at noon. It was raining, the kind of soft rain that makes the city smell like coins. He arrived with that boyish grin he uses when he knows he's late. I slid the phone across the table with the hotel receipt open like a wound. He did not deny. He did not confess either. He inhaled and said, "It was stupid. It was one time. After the offsite, some of us went for drinks. I ran into," he said a name I recognized, Elena, a colleague from a previous project, the one who had sent him a congratulatory bottle of wine when we got engaged. We talked too long. I was drunk. I hate myself. "You booked a room," I said. He rubbed his jaw like that could sand down the facts. "I don't remember booking it, honestly. I woke up and I held up a finger. I have lived my whole life being reasonable. I was not going to be reasonable for him. It doesn't matter if you remember the app you tapped. You did it." He nodded. "I'll do anything. Therapy. Whatever. Please don't blow up our lives over one mistake." I had prepared for rage, for tears, for bargaining. I had not prepared for the weariness inside me that said, "Haven't I been carrying both of us for months?" I asked him a question I already knew the answer to. "Was it only once?" He said, "Yes," too quickly. The syllable stuck to the air like gum. I asked if he'd told anyone. He said no. Later that night, a text from his best man, Tyler, pinged my screen by accident. He meant it for my fiancé man. "She'll calm down. You two just need to make it to the day." So at least Tyler knew something. He begged for a postponement if I couldn't go through with the wedding, for optics. I said I wasn't making a PR plan for my life. When I got home, his mother had called me 3 times. I didn't pick up. She texted, "Whatever disagreement you kids are having, keep it private. We cannot, under any circumstance, cancel now. Do you know how far Aunt Lila is flying?" I put the phone face down and stared at the ceiling. I thought about how many times I had swallowed small hurts because it was easier. I thought about waking up every day with someone who had already chosen a shortcut once. At midnight, I opened a blank note and started writing the post you're reading. I toggled between r/relationship advice and AITA because I don't know what I'm asking. Exactly. Advice? Judgment? Permission? Here are the facts I can prove without embellishment. Evidence. A credit card charge and PDF receipt for a hotel the night of his offsite. A photo in his files of a room service tray for 2 timestamp matches. The pale blue scarf in the photo, not mine. He acknowledged he slept there. Calls it one mistake. His best man is aware on some level. Our wedding is in 14 days. Major deposits are non-refundable. Balances due in 7-5-3 days. Here are the pressures I can already feel tightening my throat. Family/social pressure. My parents have put money toward the venue. Dad believes in follow-through. His mother cares only about appearances. She will call every relative if we postpone. Guests have flights. Hotel block is booked. My work team has swapped shifts to cover me. The planner can help, but the window for non-catastrophic cancellation is closing. Here is what I want in my bones: to not start a marriage lying to myself. I keep circling back to a stupid, small memory. A Sunday last November, when our sink was clogged and he didn't want to call a plumber because I can fix it. He took the pipe apart, flooded the cabinet, swore, and then laughed and said, "Well, at least it's just water. I got towels, I mopped." That's been our dynamic for years. He breaks things charmingly. I clean up efficiently. He tells good stories at dinner. I make sure there is dinner. If I go forward, am I choosing a lifetime of mopping? Nina looked me in the eye yesterday and said, "You don't have to pick the most palatable option for other people. Pick the one that lets you sleep." Liv, the planner, sent me a bulleted list of what happens if we cancel today versus in 5 days. My brother texted, "If you call this off, I'll stand next to you when you tell Mom and Dad." My mother texted a picture of my dress again and wrote, "Can't wait to see you in this. No one is in the room with me at 3 a.m. when my heart kicks like a trapped bird. I've given him 48 hours to provide full transparency. He can authorize the hotel to email me the folio, and he can show me the complete message thread with Elena, not screenshots. I told him the minimum for postpone and attempt counseling is a post-nup protecting me financially, individual therapy, couples therapy, no bachelor party, and he tells his mother to stand down. Even typing that, my stomach flips because it feels like I'm negotiating with a tornado to please wreck the neighbor's house instead. If this were any other decision, job offer, apartment, no one would suggest I ignore a serious defect because movers are already scheduled. But because it's a wedding, everyone thinks sunk costs are vows. I don't know what to do. I can imagine the comment sections already. Cancel. You're overreacting. People make mistakes. He'll do it again. Money is money. Your sanity is priceless. I can hear all of you. I need to hear you because my head is a carousel of competing voices and the music won't stop. If I cancel, how do I tell 150 people without turning my life into a circus? Is there a script that is truthful but not cruel? If I postpone, am I just renting time to sell myself the same lie with nicer packaging? Has anyone navigated a post-nup this quickly? Do vendors ever show mercy when the reason is infidelity? Or is that naive? I want to be the kind of woman who believes that silence is not kindness when it's protecting the wrong thing. I also want to not be the kind of woman whose entire life is suddenly a public service announcement. Tonight, I stood in the kitchen holding my dress. It's simple. Satin, square neckline, tiny buttons like pearls down the back. Feels like promise. I felt nothing but a pressure behind my eyes. I hung it up and turned off the light. I don't know if I'm asking if I'm the asshole for considering cancellation. Maybe I'm asking if I'm allowed to protect my future self as fiercely as I've protected this event. I have 48 hours before the next round of balances is due. I have 14 days before the altar. I have one heart. Please, internet strangers, talk to me like you would talk to your sister. Update 1, T 12 days. Context recap. I'm 29F, wedding in 12 days. Found a hotel receipt and photo that indicate my fiancé, 31M, cheated 2 weeks ago. He called it one mistake. Planner Liv walked me through cancellation/postponement math. Family pressure is heavy. I gave him 48 hours to provide full transparency and agree to a post-nup plus therapy if we even consider postponing. I didn't expect transparency to feel like spelunking in a cave he'd already mapped. He came over Saturday morning with a manila folder and that earnest performance review face. Inside were printed bank statements, selective, a signed release authorizing the hotel to email me the folio, good, and screenshots of a text thread with Elena, badly cropped, suspicious gaps. I told him I'd need originals, not images. He handed me his phone and sat on his hands like a schoolboy. I scrolled. The thread started months ago. Work memes, project updates, then went dark. then flared on June 26th. Are you in town Friday? /offsite but might be free later. There was a soft focus quality to the banter that made my stomach lurch. On June 28th at 9:41 p.m. Harborview Bar? I could use a real conversation. A selfie from the hotel lobby, his tie loosened. A chandelier like falling ice. 11:13 p.m. Can we talk someplace quieter? Then a gap. Next message June 29th, 8:12 a.m. We should not have done that. Her reply, agreed. I'm sorry. Take care of her. Clean little moral. Too clean. I asked him why there were no messages between 11:13 p.m. and 8:12 a.m. He said, we were talking. I told him to stop insulting my drip of reality. He said he'd deleted the intervening messages because they were gross, and he didn't want me to have to see them. That sentence cracked open something cold in me. The idea that he still thought his job was to curate my environment rather than tell the truth. At noon, the hotel emailed the folio. 2 guests registered. He checked the add guest name at check-in box, but it was left blank. In-room dining for 2, a bottle of Pinot Noir, valet, late checkout. The timestamp matched the screenshots. I forwarded everything to myself and closed my laptop because looking at the line items felt like staring at the receipts for a stranger's life. Then I called a lawyer. Not the dramatic, vengeful version, just a pragmatic family attorney, referral from my brother's colleague, who does prenups and postnups. We did a Zoom consult. She had kind eyes and a ferocious binder system. I asked the questions I never thought I'd be Googling before a wedding cake tasting. What I learned, short version. The postnups are possible in our state, but they need consideration. Both parties give/receive something of value, full disclosure, and cannot be coercive. You sign this or we cancel the wedding rides the line, but is not automatically invalid. Timeline. If motivated, it can be drafted in 48 to 72 hours, notarized within a week. But the more we rush, the more likely opposing counsel, if future us ever fights, argues duress. A scope. We can protect my premarital assets/savings and allocate marital property divisions. We can include infidelity clauses, but courts here treat fault lightly. Liquidated damages may be frowned upon. A therapy conditions belong in a private agreement. They are not typically enforceable in a postnup. When I asked if she would advise her sister to marry under these conditions, she paused long enough for me to count 3 heartbeats and said, I would advise my sister to consider whether she is constructing a legal labyrinth around a man she does not trust to keep small promises. After the call, I sat on the floor with my dress garment bag against my knees and cried into the quiet. There is a grief to watching your own narrative change shape. I needed something solvable, so I called Liv. We created 2 parallel plans because she is merciful and type A. Plan A, cancel, truthful, minimal drama. A call vendors personally. Explain relationship breakdown without details. Ask for any goodwill credit toward future events. Offer to pay remaining balances owed for work performed to date. Convert florals to credit for a future event or donate centerpieces to a hospice. Email guests a templated note. We are not moving forward with the wedding. We appreciate your love and understanding. Provide hotel cancellation info. Plan B. Postpone, neutral framing. To request date transfer, venue has 2 winter dates. Deposit can roll, but we pay an extra $1,000 change fee. I'll lock a new date only after we have 1. Completed 6 therapy sessions, 2. Executed a postnup, and 3. Jointly announced the postponement. A create internal no-contact boundary with Elena enforced by his employer, HR, if possible. Liv reminded me that postponement is not the same as progress. It is an administrative act. I will execute whatever you choose, she said. But postponement does not create trust. Then the family arrived like weather. My dad came by with 3 varieties of help, coffee, toolbox, opinions. He hugged me so hard my shoulder cracked and said, You do not owe a performance to anyone. My mom followed 5 minutes later and began straightening throw pillows as if neatness could offset chaos. She asked logistical questions in a voice that belonged to my childhood dentist. gentle, anesthetizing. If you do cancel, do we tell people the truth? I told her I didn't know yet. She nodded and looked at my dress, and her throat worked around a sentence she didn't say. His mother did not text first. She let herself into our place with the emergency key she borrowed after the engagement party, then had the gall to be offended I was in leggings. She launched into an opening statement about adult relationships and mistakes we all make, and the humiliation of calling Aunt Lila. I told her, calmly, I'm proud of this, that the key had been for emergencies like leaks and fires, not reputational fires. I took it back. She said, you wouldn't blow up a house over a candle you forgot to snuff. I said, you're comparing your son's choice to arson because you know it was one. She left muttering about girls these days. I know internet strangers love a villain. I don't want to cast her as one. She is a woman who survived on keeping things polished. That skill is failing her now. At 7 p.m., I got a message that changed the temperature of the room. It was from Elena. Not to me directly, but to my Instagram requests. I think you should hear this from me. She'd found my profile from our engagement photos. Public tag. I hesitated. I didn't want to open a line I couldn't close. But Nina was on speaker and said, open, record, screenshot. Elena's message, condensed. I'm not proud. We had drinks, we made a mistake. He told me things were complicated, and that you were overwhelmed with the wedding. We didn't plan it. It wasn't ongoing. But we also kissed after a work happy hour in April. I told him to be honest with you. After the hotel, I realized I was helping someone lie, and I hate that version of myself. I'm sorry. April. I scrolled back in my brain. April was when we fought about the guest list. I wanted to cap at 120. He wanted 170, and he accused me of sucking the joy out of this. It was also when he started late nights prepping for a product demo. I remember bringing him a sandwich at 10 p.m. and him saying, you're my angel. There is a special humiliation in realizing I delivered snacks to a set built for a lie. I asked Elena if there were messages. She said yes, but she deleted most after the hotel because she felt sick. She did send one photo, taken outside a bar in April, his hand on her waist, blurry but unmistakable. I thanked her for telling me. I didn't ask her for anything else. She is not my project. I forwarded the April message/photo to him without commentary. He replied, I didn't count that as cheating. It was just a kiss. The way he minimized it made my jaw ache. I typed and deleted 3 responses, then sent exactly, thank you for clarifying. The 48-hour clock continues. Tyler, best man, texted me separately to ask to mediate. I told him firmly that this isn't flag football. He replied, don't cancel over pride. I screenshot that and sent it to my fiancé with a note. Ask your friends to stop lobbying me. He apologized. I blocked Tyler. To keep myself from doom scrolling, I wrote drafts of emails I might need. Nina called these my sane scripts. Maybe they help someone else reading. Script, cancel, guess. Dear friends and family, we have decided not to move forward with the wedding. This was a painful decision made with care. We are grateful for your support and understanding. If you booked a room in the block, the hotel will waive cancellation fees through date. We know this is disappointing news. We appreciate your love for us as individuals as we navigate next steps. My name. Script, postpone vendors. Hi, vendor. Due to a personal matter, we need to postpone our event. We're hoping to discuss available dates in winter months and any change fees. We are committed to honoring obligations for work completed to date. Thank you for your professionalism and compassion during a tough time. My name. Writing them felt like practicing how to breathe underwater. Sunday afternoon. My fiancé asked if we could take a walk, like normal. We went around the block. He swung his arms like he could set the pace. I'll sign the postnup, he said. I'll do therapy. I'll cut off Elena. I'll tell my mom to back off. Please don't nuke everything. Everyone is invested. I said, everyone is invested in an event. I am invested in my life. He said he loved me. I told him love without responsibility is just weather, felt by everyone, predicted by no one. He asked what forgiveness would look like. I said, forgiveness is irrelevant without trust. Trust is a series of kept promises in time, not a vow. He went quiet. We got home and found a white envelope under the door. It was from our florist, hand-delivered. We live 3 blocks from her studio. Inside was a note. No matter what you decide, we can repurpose joy. If you cancel, I'd love to deliver your centerpieces to the hospice on 5th at cost. If you postpone, we'll hold your palette in cold storage and adjust seasonal blooms. I'm rooting for your peace. I cried for the 15th time, but this one felt like a release valve. Evidence update since part 1. Hotel folio received directly from Harborview. 2 guests, room service, late checkout. Full message thread produced with noticeable deletions. Elena confirms a kiss in April and the hotel in June. Photo from April provided by Elena. Blurry but identifiable. The best man interfering via text. Now blocked. Decision matrix V2 with dates. To cancel by T, 10 lose existing deposits, $19,000 sunk. Avoid paying remaining balances, $10,000. Salvage partial credits on rentals/florals. Convert florals to donation. To postpone by T9 pay change fee, $1,000. Roll deposits to winter date. Rewrite vendor timelines. Announce postponement. Enter therapy plus execute post-nup before setting new invitations. Proceed pay all balances. Marry a man I don't trust. Attempt repair under social floodlights. Writing this makes my ribcage hurt. I don't have a cinematic ending to this update. I have small, defiant acts. I slept with my phone on Do Not Disturb. I ate real food. I put the emergency key in a drawer he doesn't know about. I emailed the attorney to begin a draft postnup only as a contingency for postponement, not as a runway to a wedding. And I texted Liv, please hold the florist conversation. If we cancel, I want them to go to the hospice. She replied with a heart and on it. I keep thinking about the dumb sink from last November, the flood, the towels, his laugh. There's a version of me who doesn't mind mopping because the person in the room is mopping, too. I want to meet her, even if she's alone for a while. I'll update when the 48 hours are up. He has until tomorrow at noon to deliver the undelete thread, via carrier recovery or from her device, schedule therapy, and confirm he has told his mother to cease contact with me. I'm not moving goalposts. I'm measuring if there is a field left to play on. Update 2 plus Update 3. T10 T8. Context recap. I'm 29F. I set a 48-hour deadline for full transparency after discovering my fiancé, 31M, cheated. Planner, Liv, built cancel versus postpone plans. Therapist advised not to proceed. Vendors were on standby. The deadline hit. He arrived with a manila folder, a partial cloud recovery of texts, the Harborview folio, now sent directly from the hotel, and apologies that sounded rehearsed. The recovered thread filled in the worst part of the night. Him, you smell like that tea you drink. Her, this is a bad idea. Him, we'll say we crashed at Friends. Her, please leave first. That will say we crashed at Friends wasn't drunken. It was logistics. He said he didn't remember typing it, as if memory decides morality. Carrier store metadata confirmed what I already suspected. Message spikes in April and June during hours he swore he was at pickup basketball. My attorney reminded me a postnup needs independent counsel and at least a business day between drafts and signatures. Rushing invites a duress challenge. Translation. The safety net needs scaffolding, and we don't have time. One emergency couples session didn't offer a breakthrough. The therapist said, this is acute. Do not proceed, and do not postpone toward a wedding until there's sustained individual work and a period of safety. I asked him to come to the carrier store. He balked at privacy, then relented. The printout of timestamps made his one kiss/one night story collapse in neat little numbers. On the way home, he offered to cut off Tyler, best man. If that helps. Didn't. Loyalty isn't subtraction. It's intention. By evening, the decision had calcified. I scheduled the guest email for 9 a.m., drafted a no speculation text for family chats, and told Liv I was canceling. She said, "I'll land the planes." I packed a bag and slept at Nina's. For the first time in days, quiet didn't feel like a verdict. At 9 a.m., the email went out to 150 people. Replies landed like rain, mostly kind. A manager extended PTO. A friend offered soup. One distant relative asked about the money archived. Liv handled vendors. Band deposit rolled to a future credit. Photographer offered a portrait session IOU. Rentals issued partial credit. The florist invited me to join the hospice delivery. We placed a small arrangement beside a sleeping man. His daughter whispered, "Mom loved peonies." I cried for something larger than myself, and the room felt gentler. His mother tried a reputational salvage. Group texting a save face plan. Say, stomach bug, reschedule, consult priest. My dad replied, "We're saving a person, not a face." Tyler apologized for pushing me to keep the party. I accepted and declined further contact. HR emailed to say Elena and he were separated on accounts and offered EAP sessions. Practicalities marched forward. The hotel waived guest cancellation fees through Friday. My mom and I called elderly relatives who don't do email. No reasons, no gossip, just logistics and love. I posted a 2-line IG note with comments off. Boundaries work. A padded envelope arrived. His ring, the simple gold band I'd given him, plus a note. "I don't deserve to wear this." I put it away and felt only cold, clean air. Then came his 9-paragraph letter. An origin story plus a future fantasy where we work through this like adults. Buried in paragraph 7. "I just needed a night where nothing was about lists." In that sentence I recognized our dynamic. I built the scaffolding. He wanted a vacation from the structure. The night off was me. Evidence and admin condensed. Hotel folio direct from Harborview. Cloud recovered text showing planning. Metadata spikes in April/June. A calendar entry Harborview. 9 p.m. Mislabeled fitness. A message to Elena. "Everything is exploding. Are you happy?" She screenshot before he deleted. Therapist. "Do not proceed. Do not even postpone toward a wedding now." A vendors. Credits issued. Florist delivered to hospice. Hotel extended waiver to Friday 5 p.m. HR. Work separation and boundaries in place. Finances opened a solo checking, froze the joint card, moved my direct deposit. Keys/ring. He will return keys to the doorman. His ring is with me. What happens next? He'll collect a box of his things while I'm at work. Liv will close the last loops and send a final ledger. I'm staying at Nina's for 2 weeks so the couch doesn't try to tell me a story about failure. The dress stays zipped. Maybe I'll sell it. Maybe I won't. There's no heroic finale, just daylight and paperwork and the discipline of not calling someone who set a fire and then complained about smoke. Canceling didn't feel like detonating my future. It felt like opening a door. There is grief for the idea, the timeline, the version of me who believed lists could save us, and a relief so plain it almost embarrasses me. Repurposed joy is real. A hospice lounge smells like eucalyptus and peonies because we made a different choice. Somewhere a band has a free Saturday. Somewhere my dad is watering tomatoes instead of rehearsing a save-face speech. I keep the carrier printout in a folder named Do Not Gaslight and the florist's photo pinned to my home screen. One says, "This happened." The other says, "And so did this." Final update. T plus 21 days. Context recap. I, 29F, canceled my wedding after discovering my fiancé, 31M, cheated and then minimized/curated the truth. Vendor dominoes landed. Flowers went to a hospice. Keys were requested back. I moved to my friend Nina's for breathing room. Therapist advised not to proceed or even postpone toward a wedding. Boundaries in place. This is the last update. I promised myself this would be the last chapter, not because everything is fixed, but because the story changed jobs. It stopped being a crisis and became a life. The keys and the box. 2 mornings after the cancellation email, the doorman handed me a flat, heavy envelope and a banker's box that looked embarrassed to be itself. Inside, a stack of books that were mostly mine to begin with, a hoodie that smelled like detergent and apology, a mug from our first vacation. I didn't remember keeping it. Now I remember giving it away, and the gold band I'd already set aside. There was also a single-page note clipped to a folded towel. "I'm sorry. I'll leave you alone." He did. He left his keys with the doorman and hasn't contacted me outside of one final logistics email that went straight to the record narrative folder and then to archive. No epilogue speeches, no driveway confessions. Relief looks ordinary from the outside. Money, ledgers, endings with numbers. Liv sent the final vendor ledger with her usual surgeon calm. Totals for the curious and the practical. Sunk deposits. Venue $7,500, catering $5,000, dress/alterations $2,250, photographer retainer $2,000, planner retainer $1,500, band non-refundable portion $600, rentals/florals deposit after credits $1,200, credit/mercy, band applied $600 to a future private event credit, unlimited date, transferable. Photographer offered a portrait session. Rentals issued $800 credit. Florist invoiced only hard costs and donated delivery labor. Devoided balances. Catering remainder $7,750. Venue balance $12,000. Band remainder $1,200. Planner closeout fee reduced by half. No one likes reading about money, except when they need to. I needed to. Numbers turned the fog into furniture I could walk around without stubbing my toes. The dress and the portrait I didn't plan. I thought I'd sell the dress immediately, cauterize the symbol. Instead, I put it in the closet and told it to mind its own business. A week later, the photographer emailed, "The offer stands when you're ready. Not bridal, just you." I said yes and showed up in black pants, a white t-shirt, and sneakers. No bouquet, no veil. She put on a playlist that sounded like a clean room and had me stand in the doorway of light in her studio. The photos look like a person who chose herself on a Tuesday. I printed one 5x7 for my desk and sent the rest to a folder named Daylight. My family, his family, and the weather clearing. My dad brought tomatoes from his garden and installed a tiny shelf by my sink because there's always something worth reaching for. My mom cried once, the quiet, relieved kind, and then spent an afternoon with me sorting a junk drawer like we were excavating a future. His mother hosted a family luncheon, anyway, not with our list. She generated her own orbit. Word of it reached me the way weather forecasts do. Informative, not actionable. She texted me the next day, "I hope you find peace." I replied, "I have." That was the last of it. Work and the room that didn't swallow me. I went back to work after a week of PTO. My manager moved my bigger deliverable out a sprint without making it feel like a pity shuffle. At lunch, a coworker I barely know left a sticky note on my keyboard. "You kept a promise to your future self. Proud of you. Corporate kitchens should stock tissues next to the tea. Therapy and the architecture of lists." I kept the therapist, but solo. We've been unspooling the scaffolding of my life. The lists, the way I confuse competence with safety. The belief that if I hold the calendar tightly enough, no one will drop me. She said a thing I wrote down. Lists are ladders. They're for climbing out, not cages to keep you in. We're practicing what a weekend looks like when it isn't a project. So far it looks like grocery store flowers, cheap and loud, longer walks, and not checking my phone for praise after I do something hard. Elena, last mention. HR did what HR does. Separated accounts, documented boundaries, offered EAP. She sent one more message through counsel thanking me for not being vindictive online. I can't believe this needs saying, but here it is for the next person who stumbles into this. You can be firm without becoming the main character of someone else's shame opera. Boundaries are not pyrotechnics. The hospice and the peonies. A handwritten card arrived at Nina's last week. To the donors of the flowers, our lounge has smelled like a garden. My mother loved pink. Thank you. No return address, just a looping signature. Ruth's daughter. We put the card on Nina's fridge under a magnet shaped like a lemon. Joy does not cancel grief. They sit next to each other and pass the salt. What I did with the ring. I didn't want to sell it. I also didn't want to keep it waiting for a meaning. I took it to a jeweler who does melts and trades. We swapped it for a thin gold band I wear on my right hand. It isn't a promise to anyone. It's a permission slip. Keep your hands warm. Keep your hands busy. Keep your hands open. Apartment, practicalities, the couch that stopped talking. I kept the apartment. Month to month turned into a year lease with a small increase I can afford without inventing a roommate. I rearranged the living room and put the couch against a different wall. It's astonishing how furniture obeys when you put your name on the deed of your choices. I cooked one real meal, the kind with chopped garlic and a burn on my thumb, and ate it at the table instead of the counter. Tasted like standing up. Top comments I promised I'd answer. Why not postpone, heal, then revisit? Because postponement toward a wedding is still a decision toward a wedding. Healing is not a layover on the way to the same gate. It might be a different trip entirely. People make mistakes. Are you sure you're not punishing? Consequences are not punishments when they're boundaries. I didn't revoke his humanity. I revoked my consent to build a life on rotten joists. Are you afraid you'll regret canceling? I live with lots of small regrets. I said yes to too many favors. I forgot to water basil. But I don't feel the particular nausea of self-betrayal. I sleep. That's my answer. What would it have taken to try again? Time, unprompted truth, repair behavior over months, not emergency documents, and a willingness to let go of optics. He brought me folders. I needed character. Any scripts for telling guests? 3 lines. Max, we are not moving forward. We appreciate your understanding. Here's the hotel info. Logistics first. Gossip never. What I wish I'd understood earlier for the next OP. Sunk costs are not vows. Money spent is not a prophecy you must fulfill. Transparency that is curated is still theater. If you're learning facts from third parties or from metadata, you're not in a relationship, you're in a museum of exhibits he designed. If the conversation is more about guests than about you, you are being managed, not loved. Therapists are not judges. They don't give verdicts. The best ones hold a mirror and a calendar and let you see your own face with the lights on. Flowers at a hospice do more good than a centerpiece on a table where you would have pretended to chew. Him in the present tense. He texted my dad to apologize. My dad thanked him for returning the keys and said, "Take good care of yourself." I'm not narrating his redemption or decline. That's not stingy. It's accurate. He is a person I used to plan around. Now he is a person who is not in my calendar. Nina always. She says the houseplant I bought the day after I canceled, a dramatic calathea that folds its hands at night, is the most you plant she's ever seen. High maintenance and pretty and worth it. When I forget to water it for a day, it forgives me with a new leaf. Not every living thing does that. I'm trying to be more plant, less spreadsheet. The day that would have been the wedding. It rained in the morning and cleared by afternoon. I met my parents for pancakes and we toasted with coffee. In the late afternoon I walked by the river, the one where the harbor view sits like a rumor I won't repeat, and watched a family teach a wobbly kid to ride a bike. The world, rudely and beautifully, did not end. I went home and put the band on my right hand and called it a day. I don't need a moral, but here is the sentence I keep saying to myself when the room goes quiet. You can call something off without calling yourself a failure. The plan broke. I didn't. Thank you to the strangers who answered at 3 a.m. Who gave scripts and math and spine. Internet kindness is weird and real. I'm gonna go use mine elsewhere now, on work, on walks, on soup, on people who keep promises in small, unteachable ways.